You ever feel like the battles you're facing are just too much? Like you're being singled out for some trial you never asked for and definitely don't have the strength to win? I've been there. You learn things about yourself in the heart of a firefight that you never knew. But what if those firefights in your soul aren't a punishment, but a proving ground? What if God isn't punishing you, but preparing you for leadership? Hey, welcome to the Redeployed. This is a space where we talk honestly about faith, leadership, and what it means to lead while carrying the scars. As a combat veteran and a pastor, I've seen firsthand how battles, whether on the battlefield or in the soul, shape leaders. Today, we're diving into one of the hardest but most important truths: why God gives his toughest battles to his best leaders. When I was deployed, I saw this firsthand. Combat taught me more about myself than I ever wanted to know. I came home with scars no one could see, scars that shaped the way I lead today. And in ministry, I discovered the battles didn't stop when the uniform came on. Betrayal, burnout, and leadership wounds became their own proving ground. You probably heard the saying, God gives his toughest battle to his strongest soldiers. But if you actually look for that phrase in the Bible, you won't find it. The biblical truth is so much deeper. It's not that God finds the strongest people and throws them into the hardest fights. It's that the hardest fights, when you surrender them to him, are what create the strongest people. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. He doesn't pick up a finished blade. He picks a raw piece of steel to be heated and hammered into one. Your pain isn't random. It's the hammer and the fire God is using to shape you. Your greatest pain becomes the source of your greatest power. It's not about what you can endure alone. It's about what God can build in you through the fire. See, in the military, there's something called a proving ground. It's where weapons are tested. Soldiers are pushed to their limits, and strategies are hammered out under intense pressure. It's a place of controlled chaos, designed to find every single weakness, not for the sake of failure, but for the sake of building something unbreakable. Your life right now might be a lot like that proving ground. The betrayals, the setbacks, the internal struggles, they are the refining fire. They strip away everything but your true character. It's like a powerful storm lashing against a tree. The wind doesn't just threaten to break the branches, it forces the roots to dig deeper, making the tree more anchored and resilient than before. Let's be honest, it's a terrifying process. It's much easier to build a comfortable, predictable life. But real leadership isn't forged in comfort. The captain isn't proven in a calm harbor. They're proven in a storm. The same is true for leaders. The firefights of the soul are God's proving ground. He's testing you, not to see if you'll break, but to show you the strength he's already put inside you. He is forging a leader of deep compassion and unshakable resilience, one who knows the sting of battle and can lead others through it. And this isn't about your strength, but his. The Bible tells us that God's power is made perfect in our weakness. The battle you're in right now isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to define you by his strength. Look, we're all wired to seek comfort and run from pain. We want predictable paths and guaranteed wins. But real leadership is born in the unpredictable. It's what the U.S. Army War College calls VUCA, the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, where leaders are truly made. Veterans are specialists in this world, not because they love chaos, but because they've been trained to find clarity inside it and make decisions when the stakes couldn't be higher. When you actively avoid discomfort, you're actively avoiding growth. It's that simple. Think of a ship that's never left the harbor. Might have a tiny undiscovered leak in the calm water, it's not a problem. But out in a hurricane, that small leak can sink the entire vessel. So many leaders fall because a character flaw that was manageable in peaceful times becomes a fatal weakness under pressure. A confident leader becomes dogmatic. A detail-oriented manager becomes a crippling micromanager when the heat is on. God allows these pressures to reveal what needs to be fortified, not to break us. These trials force us to bring our whole selves to the table, our skills, and our character. They demand that we learn and adapt. One of the most important lessons from military leadership is adaptability. You have to be willing to change your mind when new information comes in. In a firefight and in life, rigidity is a liability. Adversity is the very thing that keeps us from becoming stagnant. It's the catalyst for innovation, compassion, and the deep capacity to face the battles yet to come. Now, I create content like this for leaders, veterans, and anyone walking through a battle who needs to know you're not disqualified. You're just being forged. Drop a comment. What's a battle in your life that taught you strength you didn't know you had? Most of us have an instinct to hide our scars. We see them as signs of weakness and failure. But in God's economy, your scars are your credentials. They're like the Japanese art where broken pottery is mended with gold. The cracks aren't hidden, they are highlighted, making the piece more beautiful and valuable than before. Your scars are the gold-filled cracks that tell a story of healing and strength. That's why I don't hide my scars anymore. For years, I thought they made me weak, but now I see they're my credentials. PTSD, chronic illness, and ministry failures tried to convince me I was dying. But God used those scars to show me that leadership isn't about perfection. It's about leading with a left, letting your pain become someone else's roadmap. If this resonates with you, I want you to see my video on the 3-step prayer method. It'll help you find calm in the middle of the fight. Think about someone like Viktor Frankl, the Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. He lost his family, his freedom, and nearly his life. Every day in that camp was designed to crush his spirit. But Frankl discovered something in the middle of that darkness. While he couldn't control his suffering, he could choose how he responded to it. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." The pain that was meant to destroy him became the forge that gave him a message of hope to the world. His suffering taught him that meaning could be found in the midst of despair, and that lesson became his life's leadership gift. Your story of struggle does the same thing for you. When you've battled anxiety, you can lead others toward peace. When you navigated financial disaster, you can guide others to stability with an empathy you can never get from a book. Your pain isn't a disqualifier, it's a qualification. It's the testimony that you've been through the fire and can now show others the way through the smoke. God doesn't waste our pain. He transforms it into a ministry, turning your deepest wounds into your most powerful leadership assets. If you look through Scripture, you see a clear pattern. God doesn't choose leaders from the comfortable and privileged. He chooses them from the broken, the exiled, and the overlooked, and he prepares them for greatness through intense trials. It's like a master craftsman training an apprentice. The apprentice doesn't start on the masterpiece. He starts with the hardest, most thankless jobs. Each trial is a core lesson in his development. So think of Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit. This was his apprenticeship. As a slave, Joseph learned administration. In prison, he learned to depend completely on God for wisdom. By the time he stood before Pharaoh, he wasn't just a clever kid who could interpret dreams. He was a master craftsman, a man of proven character and unwavering faith, ready to save an entire nation from starvation. Or look at David. He was anointed king as a boy, but spent years being hunted in the wilderness by King Saul. He lived in caves, fighting for his life. It was in that desolate place that David, the man after God's own heart, was truly formed. He learned to trust God for daily protection, to lead a band of misfits and to cry out to God in desperation. His psalms, filled with anguish and hope, became a playbook for anyone facing impossible odds. This is the blueprint God gives battles to make his soldiers strong, relying not on their own power, but on his. The leadership principles forged in the heat of combat aren't just for the military. Veterans who transition to civilian life are like translators. They know the language of chaos and the language of the corporate world, and they bring a rare ability to translate battlefield lessons into business strategy. They are masters of crisis management, decisive action, and building tight-knit teams under pressure. They get that leadership isn't about personal glory. It's about selfless service and lifting up others. Of course, the transition requires this translation. The core values, integrity, accountability, leading by example are universal, but how they're applied has to change. This is where a veteran's experience with pain becomes a bridge. Having faced life or death situations, a veteran leader often has a unique calm and perspective on what a crisis really is. More importantly, a battle-tested leader knows that real strength is found in humility and authenticity. This is like a leader being willing to open the hood of their car. By showing their own engine, the struggles, the fixes, the maintenance, they create a culture of trust and psychological safety. They prove that it's possible to face adversity and come out stronger on the other side. This is the ultimate transfer of skill, showing that the resilience learned on the battlefield can build a stronger, more adaptable, and more human organization anywhere. Now, the story of your life is being written one battle at a time. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to this channel for more teaching on faith, resilience, and leadership. Share it with someone who's fighting their own war right now. They may need to hear this more than you know. In the comments, tell me about a season where God forged you through pain. Let's build a community where scars aren't shamed. They're sacred. Pain isn't random. It's not bad luck or cosmic cruelty. Pain is the place where God does his deepest work. The trials you're facing aren't proof that he's absent. They're proof that he's present, forging something in you that comfort never could. Like a blacksmith heating steel or a storm forcing roots deeper, every strike, every gust is shaping you into someone stronger, steadier, and unshaken. And here's the paradox of the kingdom. Your scars aren't a liability. They're your credentials. They prove that God's strength shows up best in weakness. The leader who walks with a limp often leads with the most compassion because they know what it means to bleed and still keep going. So if you're in the thick of it right now, don't give up. Don't waste your fire. Trust the process. The very battle you're fighting today is equipping you for the assignment waiting tomorrow. If this message spoke to you, take a step. Subscribe so you don't walk these battles alone. This is a brotherhood. And share this with someone who's in their own proving ground right now. If you're willing, tell your story of how God has forged you through pain. Your testimony may be the hope that keeps someone else going. You're not disqualified. You're not abandoned. You're being forged. And the fiercest battle, they're the ones God reserves for leaders he's raising up to make the greatest impact. And if you want to understand more about the hidden war veterans fight when they come home, watch my video on going beyond PTSD. Hit that subscribe button. Stay connected. This is where wounded leaders learn to walk together because you're not disqualified. You're just being redeployed.